I cannot. It feels just like yesterday. It was May.
Oh.
Oh, it was yesterday.
Hey, it looks like we're live. This is awesome.
Woo.
Happy lunch break, everybody.
Yeah, happy lunch break. Hi, Marissa.
Yeah.
Hi, how are y'all?
Great. Hi, Justin. Hi, Ben.
Woo, woo, woo. Hey, Janet.
Hello.
Hey, everybody out there in Facebook land. We at NuMinds, we just can't get enough of you. And we are all parents. We are all educators. And we're thinking about, what do you do with all those kids during the summer?
Right? Who's already heard, Mom, I'm bored?
Yeah, oh, dude, yeah. And just yesterday, they're like, what are the kids up to? I think they're on their tech somewhere. Like, oh, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it is one of those questions we get a lot from NuMinds, is that whole like, man, what do I do with the kids during the summer? What are some enrichment ideas? And of course, I mean, there's summer camps, there's other opportunities, but this is a cool way for us to be like, man, DIY summer enrichment.
It sure is. And, you know, it was like, I don't know, 7-8 years ago or so, we presented some summer enrichment ideas for parents.
Yeah.
So we went and found that and kind of looked at it and dusted it off. And we thought, you know what? Maybe it's a little time to update. And, you know, each one of us has some really interesting things that we have done with our own kids or with our students, or unique ideas. So we just wanted to share it with you guys.
Yeah. Well, and like Janet, one example of that is on the handout, it talked about using geocaching.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, you know, when we first brought this up, this is years ago, it had just started becoming popular. So if you're not familiar with geocaching, the simple version is this. You can get an app. There are paid versions, of course. There's also free versions. And it just lists out the geographic location. It gives you longitude and latitude. And at first blush, you're kind of like, okay, that's kind of interesting, I get. It is flipping cool. So this is like, I'm talking about early in the morning, you know, maybe the heat hasn't kicked in. We're in Texas, so, you know, it gets blazingly hot in the summer. So before that heat kicks in, like, it's getting outside, it's checking out stuff. And I remember very clearly, like, Lily and I, this is just a couple of years ago now, we were just camping. It was a regular camping trip. And I was like, oh yeah, we have that geocaching thing that we had downloaded before. Dude, we spent hours. We were like driving around trying to find stuff. And even if you find the longitude latitude spot, it might be buried under something. It might be hidden somewhere. So that was what I wanted to start with, just kind of talking about geocaching. And I'll even give an update to that one too, which is called GeoGuessr. GeoGuessr is also free. Of course, with all of these, there's paid versions too. But if you're not familiar with that one, now that one doesn't get you outside, but it is really kind of fun. They use Google Images, like anywhere in the world, right? Street View. So you're familiar with this. Like, you can use Street View to see the side of a house or a building. They'll give you a shot of that from anywhere in the world. And this has become like a global phenomenon at this point. People are now like geoguessing tournaments. How fast can they identify it? And that's actually how you get points. You get points by like how quickly you can get it, how many clues you have to use. And it's obscure. You'll be like, man, so why is that car on the left-hand side of the street? You know, here in the U.S. we drive a certain way. Why does that traffic sign have a certain kind of language on it? So it's amazing. It's like I don't know. To me, it's like the indoor version of the geocaching called GeoGuessr. So that's one that I want to pitch out there that I thought was still relevant from the handout, but at the same time, like, could be used today.
That's cool.
GeoGuessr. That's awesome. If we just Google GeoGuessr, then we'll find some good stuff on it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And while we're on the topic of travel and geography and moving around, I just thought there are so many things, because in the summertime, maybe we're on our way to practices or sessions or whatever, or traveling on a vacation, but there's so much that we can do in the car that is really enriching. Just a real basic one that builds literacy skills, builds narrative construction skills, is this concept of team storytelling. And there's lots of different versions. Team storytelling.
Team storytelling. Okay, all right, yeah. Hook me up.
Someone volunteers to kick it off, and they'll say that you can only do one sentence at a time. It has to be a complete sentence, and you have to resist all the temptation to elaborate, because it's up to person number 2 to pick up the baton and just add only the next sentence of the story. And there's some rules. It has to be coherent. So like if I say, yesterday I was walking down the street and I was so surprised to see an elephant. And, if Marissa picks it up from there, somehow there has to be some continuity to that. Like she can't suddenly be, then we were on Jupiter and we saw,
I want to hear where she's going. Take it, Marissa. What are we going to do?
Let's practice. Let's do this. Practice.
So I want to do it. Yeah, seriously.
Okay, good, Ben.
I was walking down the street and I was so surprised to see an elephant in my neighborhood. Marissa.
I wondered, how did this magical creature get here, and what are we going to do now that he is here?
Justin.
The elephant turned and looked at me and said, "Hop on, we're going for a flight."
Oh, now I'm in.
Janet.
So I took my golden reins out of my pocket and gently applied it up the elephant's long nose snout thing. Trunk.
Nice. Nice. Yeah.
Still working on my coffee.
Yeah. You guys get the idea. Like I can flow endlessly. Imagine even a 5-minute car ride. Imagination, divergent thinking, literacy. There's other versions of that. There's other versions of that where there is another rule where my sentence has to include at least one word from your sentence, from the previous sentence. And so that's just another way to like kind of lock in that link. But it's fun. Like honestly, I would love to have our story continue, but I want to share more juicy stuff. Who's got another one?
I have a variant on that, Ben. Have you played where your sentence has to start with the last letter of the sentence before that? That's another challenge.
Letter or word?
Ooh,
letter. Has to start with the last letter of the last word of the sentence before that. That's a challenge for your ones that this is too easy. Okay. Let's add some difficulty. Yeah. So that's cool. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'll go real quick. Summer enrichment. For me, where I live, we have a rich, just so many different activities that are available to our kids here we're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but they can be costly sometimes and it can be difficult to fit into our schedule. So I just want to reassure parents out there, you don't have to break the bank to provide enrichment opportunities for your kids. There are millions and millions of free things you can do without leaving your home even, that provide really enriching summer fun for your kids and summer activities that encourage those literacy skills, that encourage those critical thinking skills. And if you do want to take opportunities in your hometown, wherever you happen to be, check out your local Chamber of Commerce page. Find out about those free days that a lot of these wonderful places that you have, museums in your town, art galleries, parks, what are some places that are open for free? What are places that maybe they have free days or they have half price days or, other opportunities like that. But look for those ways to save money because, let's face it, it can get really expensive to go travel around and do things a lot of times. And you don't have to break the bank to do that. And I also wanted to mention to parents, summer learning is still summer learning. If you walk in and say, today we're going to do the math, you've lost them. You've lost them. It's supposed to be fun. Learning should always be fun, but especially in the summer, it should be super fun. And learning, teach your kids to be lifelong learners. If you're going to the pool that day, that's awesome. What a cool time to talk about pH levels in the water, or to talk about, I wonder how many gallons of water are in this pool. You can just ask a question and get those wheels turning, no matter what you're doing, where you are, but teach kids to wonder about things at every moment of the day. Teach kids that it's great to ask those questions and to seek those answers. And that it doesn't have to be some formal, stuffy setting. It can just be, hey, we're going on a picnic today. I wonder what the best food is that we can transport safely. Or I wonder how we can prepare a meal that includes, this many vegetables or this many fruits. Or I wonder which vegetable has traveled the farthest in our menu today to get to our plate. You can do all kinds of activities like that with your kids. I love cooking.
I wonder why mayonnaise goes bad so quickly. Everyone's always scared of potato salad.
Right.
but you can leave the jar like unrefrigerated. Are you kidding me? What are you talking about?
Yeah. What's
How does
the
that work?
science there? Exactly. You can do so much with food, so much science in food.
Well, man,
But
what's cool about what you said too, Marissa, is that like so our company is NuMinds Enrichment, right?
yes,
And enrichment is a different type of learning, and that's something to kind of be clear about with the whole summer part. Like there is extension learning, which is I'm going to
yes,
do more like you said, math problems. There's
yeah,
no shame in that, right? But that's academic. That's extension. Excuse me.
yes,
But enrichment is a chance to dive in deeper. Like
yes.
how often do they get a chance to ask a question like mayonnaise?
Right.
Yeah. And
Or how many gallons of water are in this pool, and
yeah.
how often do they have to drain it, and how long does it take to fill it up? And those are all just very, very great questions to investigate.
Right.
No matter where you are. I'm a nature lover. I love my summer activities that I love to do with my kids involve being outside. I love I'm an art lover as well. So I love doing any kind of art that involves nature, whether it's a scavenger hunt that we do, taking pictures of flowers and plants, or whether it's creating a tree where we really investigate different species of plants and where they've come from. Are they native plants? Are they not? Spending time with animals, doing art activities where maybe we create pictures with things that, I try to teach my kids not to pick living things unless it's like vegetable garden or fruit, things like that, but leave the flowers for other people to enjoy. But take pictures of them, sketch them, get some color pencils and sketch.
Right? Like,
do some rubbings. Absolutely. Anything that we
Right.
can do. And then of course, planting a garden is a great thing to do with your kids. We have all kinds of garden beds out here. Let the kids go and pick a cheap packet of seeds and let them plant their own garden and design it. Design a little miniature pathway through there and really sketch out their designs and get a feel for that geometry of what makes a garden cool and what makes a garden awesome. And you don't even have to plant plants. You can do a Zen garden with rocks and sand and and just make your own space. But get outside, enjoy the summer. I know it's hot sometimes, but
and play in the dirt, right? You have
absolutely play in the dirt.
You could use like old recycled materials to make like planters and
yes.
I love cheese
houses.
It's fruit fast. So
you can make toad houses out of you turn things upside down for the toads to get in and during the day when it's hot, and then they can come out at night and eat the bugs that you don't want to have around your house. So there's all kinds of activities you can do with your kids outside.
Yeah,
those
but
are all awesome ideas.
Yeah, I love how you're emphasizing like the informal as an opportunity to nurture this natural curiosity.
Yes.
And I think one of the traps that parents fall into, including myself when my kids were really young, was like feeling that sense of pressure that, man, there's got to be something formal. Like, all right, it's middle of summer on a Tuesday, get them at the kitchen table with the workbook out. They're gonna, they could be doing something formal or substantial. And we forget that our brains are actually designed to just follow curiosity, and play is one of the most important forms of learning. And after kindergarten, we cut off play and we're losing all that opportunity to develop. And like we're emphasizing here, like it doesn't have to be high cost. It can be very informal. It can be messy. And Janet, you've taken some kids through through many a summer. What are some of your favorites?
Well, I love these ideas so far. I love the idea of getting outside. And when it gets really hot, sometimes first thing in the morning is the best thing to do. Get outside. If you have a yard or you have like even just like a patch of sand or grass or dirt, like even letting the kids walk around barefoot, if that works for you and your family. And one of the things that my kids still do, and now I have an 18 and a 19-year-old, but that the younger kids would love being a part of is, Marissa, you had mentioned taking pictures.
Yes.
Do you all have kids or kids who follow you around with their phone, wanting you to see some kind of reel, some TikTok video, some kind of photo that you don't even understand? what the joke is, right? But they understand what the joke is. So maybe incorporating that into your summer enrichment. So having the kids go outside on some sort of scavenger hunt to take pictures of grass or bugs or animals, but make a meme out of it.
Yes, that's a great idea.
Make a funny meme. And maybe, here your challenge is it's a science-based meme. Or take a little video that, can be made into some sort of reel or some sort of short, but, kind of tapping into getting outside, playing and engaging with natural stuff, bringing in some of the science or maybe some math, but giving them something that they could bring back inside when it gets hot. Some sort of photo editor, some sort of video editor, even the real young kids, they all know how to do that stuff.
Absolutely.
Now, and one thing that I've seen families do is bring a lot of that stuff together into some sort of family journal for the summer, and there are free apps and there are paid apps. You could even take some of those pictures and some of the family reflections every day. Like I love, sitting down with the family at the end of the day. Here's what we did today. Here's what I love doing today. Here's what I learned today. You can even create like a family summer photo book at the end of the summer.
That's a great idea. That's a great, and to piggyback off that, another one of my favorite ideas is to go on a trip around the world. I can't afford that personally, and taking my children with me, I definitely can't. But we have computers at our disposal. We can learn about other people's cultures. We can find recipes from other cultures. We can recreate animals that live in that country out of recycled materials. We can design, we can make our own flag for that country out of food, out of pasta, out of whatever we have around the house, out of paper. We can do paper mosaic. We can do whatever we want and put all those wonderful things in a scrapbook. And there's our trip around the world that we did in the summer. And we went to all these different countries and we learned about different cultures. What a great, fun idea for your kids for the summer.
Seriously, and so easy, right? That's the beautiful part of this DIY idea. No, yes. Man. Well, and I'm looking at the time. I know we're at time. This is our lunch meeting get together. We still have 1,000 different ideas to share. I know. I do want to say, like, we keep dabbling and tiptoeing around these different things, but let's be clear. Like, these are ideas that are for enrichment, a chance to dive in deeper. They don't have to be expensive. At the same time, there is research out there that enrichment actually provides academic gains, right? There's research that shows the number of books you have on your bookshelf provide academic gains, right? Your success in life is all. So I'm just trying to be really clear. Like, if you're like, well, I don't know, I really want that workbook or some more math practice. Giving your brain a chance to go to that default mode, a chance to relax, or a chance to think and to play and to interact with stuff at a deeper level, like, is beneficial and is really incredible. So team, thank you guys. This is, go ahead. I cut you off.
I was just going to say, finding a new way to do those, if you do have a student that is maybe struggling for making up some academic gaps and things like that, and that they need to work on multiplication or division or grammar or whatever those gaps are, find a creative way to do that. Find a fun way to put those activities in front of them and watch them flourish. That was what I was going to say.
I saw multiplication come alive with what's Minecraft.
Yes.
Because it was like, how many bricks will I need? How many pieces of wood do I have to go get in order to build this wall? Well, you could count every single one of them. But I saw a kid be like, well, it's a lot faster to do multiplication. And so there you go.
It became practical.
I was like, okay.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
All right. Well, again.
For those on this later on the feed, add ideas to the comments. Let us know your favorites.
Yeah, keep sharing out. I know there's more out there, and we're all looking for resources.
Yes.
All right. Well, on behalf of the team at NuMinds, thank you guys.
Have a wonderful
summer. Exactly.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.